All right, thank you everyone for coming. We're going to be talking about LoPresti Park boat dock. So if that's a surprise to you, you're welcome to join us. So thanks for coming. So I think let's move on to the next slide. So we are recording this meeting. We will be posting it on our website. The information for the website was on the previous slide. So just be aware of that. And before we get started, I just want to let everyone know about a couple of things that are going on in the department. We have a survey available for our open space and recreation plan. It's to help us understand better what the community needs, wants, envisions in the park, how you use the park, and it includes both built work that we do in the design and construction unit and recreation. So if you are a park user, or if you're a park neighbor, or live nearby, or if you use any open spaces in the city, no matter the jurisdiction, that's helpful for us to know. And our open space inventory includes all publicly accessible open space. So if you go to boston.gov/open-space, you'll see a link to that survey. It is available in multiple languages, so please share the information far and wide. This is some information. We're going to be having the survey open for the month of May. It is open now. So if you have 5 minutes and can take the survey and can share it with a friend, that would be wonderful as well. Also, just to let you all know that we are planning Mayor's Coffee Hours are starting next week. The first one is in East Boston. It's at East Boston Memorial Park next Wednesday, a week from today at 9:30 a.m. So you can come out to the park, have some Dunkin' Donuts. I don't know if it's some coffee. I don't know if it's going to be iced or hot at this point, but
it's iced coffee.
It is going to be iced coffee.
Yeah.
Thank you, Christine. Christine will be there as well. And meet some city staff, including Mayor Wu. So please come out to that next Wednesday at 9:30 at East Boston Memorial Park. All right, so we're going to talk about the LoPresti boat dock, floating dock. We're going to do some introductions of some city staff and the design team, talk about why we're talking about this project, go over the plans for the preliminary design, and then be available if there are any questions that come out of that. So my name is Kathy Baker Eclipse. Probably should have started off with that. I'm the director of the capital plan for the Boston Parks and Recreation Department. Christine Brandeo, the community outreach coordinator, is also on the call here. She's a great resource citywide for friends groups, or for if there's small projects that are going on in the parks, and is really a great liaison from the community to the department as well. So she's a great resource to have in our department as well. Mike Easler is the project manager for this project from Weston & Sampson. He's the design firm that the city is contracted with to do this, to do the design work and oversee the construction administration of this project. Mike has a lot of experience at this park because we worked together on the 3 phases of the park in 2014, 2015, and 2016. So Weston & Sampson has a lot of experience and an understanding of the conditions of the park and making sure that everything in the design kind of works together as a whole. So thanks for being here, Mike. All right, so project goals and schedule. So the project goals, we can go to the next slide. The goal of this project is to provide an ADA accessible floating dock to the pier at LoPresti Park. It will also provide additional opportunities for the public to access the water and for water access to the park and water access from the park for personal watercraft in East Boston. So we're here in April. We work back a couple months. We looked at some initial concepts and made sure we were in line with budget with what we were thinking. Had some preliminary conversations with the Conservation Commission, did some preliminary testing to understand the subsurface conditions in the water that did require Conservation Commission review. That work was done last month, and we are planning to go back before the Conservation Commission for the final reviews of the plans before we go out to bid. So the order of conditions that come out of the Conservation Commission review will be incorporated into the bid set, and the selected selected contractor will have to comply with those order of conditions in addition to the contractual requirements. So we expect to bid later this summer, and then award the project around the fall, start construction in the fall, and finish the project next spring. But I think the bigger question is why we're here. How is this project being funded? The community, this is really a community-driven project. This is a grassroots project that was presented to the Community Preservation Committee, who reviews and selects projects to be funded through the Community Preservation Act, which is a surcharge on your property tax bill that pays for open space, historic preservation, and affordable housing projects throughout the city, in addition to city capital budget. It's not doesn't have to just be on a city-owned parcel. It can be anywhere in the city of Boston. If you have a historic preservation project, a building, or some other facility, that you can apply for funding for that. If you have, and a lot of affordable housing is also being funded through that. So this was one of the earlier projects that the Community Preservation Act funded, and we are finally here to see it to fruition. So we have about $300,000 that is intended to fund both the design and the construction of the project. So I'm going to turn it over to Mike to go through the design.
Sounds good. Thank you, Kathy. Again, my name is Michael Eastler. I'm with Weston Sampson Engineers, and I'm a project manager and landscape architect. The project is fairly simple. The goal of the design includes connection to Pierce Park. The sailing center there would have a secondary boat dock to land at, plus public access for personal watercraft such as small sailboats and kayaks. Really just creating another point of access for the community to the waterfront and to actually touch the water. The proposed pier in its current design iteration, we're still working through the design development based on the bathymetric survey and the boring information that we got in March. But the concept as it currently stands includes a roughly 70-foot accessible gangway to a 24-foot by 20-foot dock platform tucked into the cove off the edge of the pier. I know that the views from that pier are absolutely magnificent. So I think one of the goals here was to not put this in the front of things, but tuck it away so that boaters could come in and use the space. And again, it's tucked in on the other side of the Callahan Tunnel. We don't have to worry about any construction concerns being near it. We're far enough away. And it's also going to be looking out over the new Mark development adjacent. Here you can see the plan in section. The design in section. The proposed dock is designed to be a low floating dock, so an expected elevation above the water of 8 to 10 inches to make it more accessible for boaters and boats, so it's not sitting high out of the water, so it'll make it easier for the users. And it's also being designed to deal with the close to 10-foot tidal change that happens on site. And you can see here we've got mean low tide drawn in, mean high tides at 10.6 feet from an original elevation of 1 foot. But we're also designing for future sea level rise. So we're looking into making sure that this dock will be there in 2050 or hopefully 2070 with the ability to still remain on the same piles. It's a pretty simple project, and the goal here is really to have that kind of uninterrupted access to the water while minimizing any interruption to the view from LoPresti Park, especially from the pier. That's actually the full presentation on that. So
yeah, so maybe we can, we're happy to answer any questions that come out of that. And it's a pretty straightforward project, but we did just want to make sure everybody was aware of our intentions, what will be happening at the park later this year for construction. So we just wanted to let people, make people aware that what was happening and be able to answer any questions. So I think there's only about 10 of us in this call, so I think we could probably just allow people to unmute themselves if that's okay.
No problem.
And we're able to answer any questions that come out of it. So
Everyone should be able to unmute themselves now, Kathy.
So does anybody have any questions that they'd like to ask?
I just have one question. Why did you decide to put it on that side and not the other side? Is there some easement with the Callahan Tunnel on that side?
Exactly. There's actually an easement. It's a little tough to see in this plan, but
No,
right.
I see it. I just couldn't read what it said. Yeah,
Yep.
cool. All right.
Yep, that's the edge of easement.
Yep. Okay, great. Thanks. I live in the Mark right next door, so
Okay.
Oh, excellent.
yeah, it's nice. Good. Thank you. 2 slides. Good for you.
Some projects are simpler than others. You know,
It's pretty
this
good.
is what it looks like. We don't have to go into too much detail because it is a dock.
Yep.
Question, is there any temporary parking near here if you want to come here with a kayak, for example?
There is on-street parking on Sumner Street, and I do not recall whether there is whether it is entirely resident only or if it is 2-hour parking.
I think it's 2-hour parking. And on Sundays, I don't think they enforce it. Right. So you can park for as long as you want on a Sunday, I think.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Nice. And so water taxis won't be coming here. This is strictly for public.
Strictly for personal watercraft.
Okay, that's great. Well, I don't have any more questions, but thank you for the presentation.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And so when do you think it'll be done? I'm sorry, I missed, I forgot what it said on that last slide.
Spring 23 is when we're targeting for construction to be complete.
Okay, great. Well, we have a while for that then.
Yeah, it's going to sneak up. It's going to sneak up on us quickly. So
Yeah,
we will be going before the Conservation Commission, hopefully next month. I think that's the target. So if people are interested in that, we do need to do some flyering to abutters. So if you see a notice about that, this is what that we'll be presenting that to the Conservation Commission.
okay.
So
All right, well.
One of the questions I have is this for loading and unloading, or is there people who storage of this, or anything like that, or that how does that get used at all? With some of the like using small craft for how long? You might have said that prior to you joining.
I think I'm not sure if someone else, we had a little bit of trouble hearing you. I don't know if there's a way to get closer to the microphone or and
Yeah, I
repeat
didn't hear him either.
Okay, testing 1, 2, 3. No good.
Not much.
I'll put it in the chat.
Okay, we'll read it in the chat. That sounds good.
Yeah, that would be great. Yeah, we can read it in the chat if that works.
I believe the question was about access for size of boats, but we'll see. Stephen, you're making this into a game for us.
And I don't know how deep I don't know if it's possible to go back to the section, Mike.
Absolutely.
And we might be able to interpret what the maximum keel depth would be.
So based on mean low tide, which is 1 foot on Boston datum, so that's the Boston City datum versus larger other projects and vertical datums. But the edge of the site, I'm going to go back to the plan here for a second. At this corner, it's actually 14 feet, a negative 14 feet. So it's actually 15 feet below low tide at this point, and it's closer to 6 feet below low tide at this point. So there's a little bit of depth near the corner, but it's much shallower on the backside here. So really, any boat with less than a 6 foot draft should be able to access it, which should give plenty of room for the small sailboats, kayaks, and the like, but should limit anything larger.
And so, Stephen, thank you for putting that in the chat. It is primarily for loading and unloading, for short, visiting the park kind of things. There's going to be no overnight storage, and I don't think there will be an ability to tie up for long periods of time. And I don't know how it will get policed just yet, but I think that's something that we will be working on, figuring out how to enforce it.
So
All
do
right,
you have
well,
any requisite amount of time you need to stay on this call?
No, I think if people feel like we've satisfied questions, I think there's no reason to keep people longer. So I just want to make sure we allow enough time for people to have any questions. So if everybody feels satisfied, I think we could say sign off. I do want to just remind people, anybody who came in late, the first coffee hour, Mayor Wu's coffee hour series starts on next Wednesday in East Boston at East Boston Memorial Park, 9:30 on May 4th. And we also have our open space and recreation plan survey available. If you use any open space, look at any open space, your input is greatly appreciated. It takes about 5 minutes. You can find it by going to boston.gov/open-space. The survey is available in multiple languages, so we encourage you to share it with neighbors, friends, other community groups that you have. We'd really love to get a lot of input. It will be open through the month of May, so please share that far and wide. And thank you all for coming. We really appreciate the input. And again, this will be we will be putting a recording on the website, which if you go to boston.gov and search for LoPresti Park, this will come up. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you,
City
everybody.
team.
Thanks, Alice. And I think we just want to make sure, can we stop the recording? I just want to make sure does the chat automatically get